Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns. The podcast where the glory we yearn to recapture is the glory of Tim Burton's Batman Returns! 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And joining him is the host that certainly did say that. It is I, John Parker.
Well, you say that? Like the word that there now? Like,
The word that? Yeah, of course. That's exactly what I mean.
You have said that in that moment, and in previous instances where I've spoken to you. So,
well, I've proven my point.
Well, and we're here again for the final time this week, and for the final time in the Burton movies, but hopefully you'll return for the Schumacher ones. We have from Pele Media, Brady Crane.
Hey, thanks for having me on again. I got to ask you, what you said at the beginning, you were just talking about, do y'all write those down ahead of time, or is that improvised? Because if so, it's pretty impressive.
A little from
Every
column
time.
A, a little from column B. This one was on the fly. What about you, Niall?
Good deal.
The thing of when I went to the bathroom was like, I have to think of a way to introduce this. So I was like, and I will say, like, I've got a note on how much I love that line. So that was really sticking out in my head.
Yeah.
But actually, the thing, like, we had a big discussion a couple episodes back, Brady. 'Cause now we have someone who's kind of got a firm grip on it, because we had a whole debate about whether over here. I think when we had Gary Gavigan on, I mentioned the footballer Pele, and he's what are you talking about? It's Pele. And then we had a whole big debate about whether it's Pele.
Yep.
So is Pele Media, is that any reference to the footballer?
It's not. I think we were just trying to come up with something, and Kyle finally just said, all right, you know what? It's Pele Media. Let's not ask it. Whatever. Let's not ask why. And I was like, in my head thinking like, okay, well, it's named after Pele, as you said, football player. We say soccer.
Yeah.
And I've never understood why, because football makes so much more sense. And I'm like, whatever. So, no, I don't think there's any real. Kyle has a real affinity for, like, kind of classic Hawaiian, Polynesian culture and everything. And it's got something to do with that, I think. So you might have to ask him. Maybe he'll. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he'll be a future guest on the show. I'm not sure, but if so, you'll have to ask him on behalf of both of us.
Because we only have the one show at the moment. I'm sure that'll change in the future. We don't really promote the name of the company, sort of, that we put this out under. So nobody's asked us what ours means, Niall.
What is it? I didn't even know you had one. What is it?
Well, it's Sleepy Charlie Media.
That's awesome. What is that from?
A very weird Twin Peaks The Return reference.
Yeah.
Which
All right.
I'll let the listeners figure out.
It was,
Oh, man. See, I only made it through a little bit of the first season.
Oh.
And I liked it a lot. It just couldn't really hold my attention. Maybe it was just the day that I tried to watch it. But
You've got to be in the mood.
and watch all
It's
of it.
one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
my
seemed like it.
favorite, but if you're not feeling it that day, give it a miss. Come back to it.
the thing is, because even those first two seasons are a completely different entity from the third one. The third season's like a completely different show. Like, it's not got the same tone. It's not got the same atmosphere.
No.
It's just a much, much more bizarre kind of beast. So
It's a best of David Lynch show.
yeah.
Okay.
It's much more in common with, like, the vibe of, like, a Razorhead than it does with the first Twin Peaks season. So.
Yeah.
But anywho,
Yikes.
today we're here to talk about Minute 90. We're a full feature film length into this this sequel of Batman Returns here, but begins with Alfred doing some jamming and ends a little while later, exactly 1 minute later, with Oswald Cobblepot's words coming back to bite him in the ass.
Fake news.
Have you guys seen UHF, the movie with Weird Al Yankovic?
Oh, that's so weird. Someone brought that up recently, didn't they? Was it last week or week before?
I think it was last week. Yeah, someone mentioned it.
Yeah.
But no,
It's hilarious.
Never seen it.
No.
It's great. There's actually a really good Movies by Minutes podcast about it. But there is a moment where, not to spoil it, I guess, but the villain is on live TV at the end, and he's talking about, all the great things he can do with the new station and everything. And then they start playing back some recording that they took of him earlier, yelling about the people who watch his station or something like that. And it's very reminiscent of this. So that's all I could think about when I was watching it, was this crazy scene from UHF. So, yeah.
I think it actually reminds me, typical for this show. But I was just thinking of The Simpsons when obviously Krusty's on the outs because Gabbo the puppet has come into popularity. And of course then Bart flips on the camera while Gabbo's saying like, "Oh, all the kids in Springfield are little SOBs and stuff." And it's just like, yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. That's exactly what happens to the Penguin here. At the end of this minute as well.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty cool that that's Bruce's like tactic of saving the day right here. It's not just, okay, let me put on the bat suit, go and beat people up, or see if I can swoop in and I don't know, try and do something on site, if you will. But he's actually like just manipulating audio, and that's all he's doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're showing that he has different techniques of taking on crime is, I think, it's a pretty original idea. And it really works for me up until, not to spoil it, but like a few minutes from now when he sort of like skips the audio with his hand or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you call that, I was like, oh, that's a little much, but okay.
That's like something from the Schumacher movies, I think.
Yeah, it might have worked better there.
But no, I agree. Like, I think seeing him fight crime in a completely different way is fantastic, because you assume that Batman fights crime by punching it. And I don't think he should always be doing that.
I don't know. That's the thing that you always wonder at the end, too. Like, I guess the Penguin will obviously know, like, oh, yeah, this was Batman who said that to him, so he clearly recorded it. But the people of Gotham, because they're demonizing Batman at the minute, they've been like, oh, that's the guy who pushed the princess and stuff. Will you never see them been formally made aware of the fact that, like, yes, Batman recorded the Penguin taking over the Batmobile, and he played them this, unless he issues like a public statement after the Penguin's dealt with, saying, this is what happened, and I was the person who jammed the frequency and put that up for you.
So watch out, criminals.
Yeah,
because I'll do the same to you.
Because this movie kind of ends like, well, you get the bat signal again, like, so you're kind of assuming the people trust them again, but you never get any formal apologies by the public to him, or I don't even know they're obliged to apologize to him or anything. But you never get that little story thread kind of closed up properly. So it's like, it's dealt with, you know. But I will say though, because it was only from, again, looking at it a minute at a time, I've never been able to make out what the Penguin's actually saying in this speech, because it has this really powerful echo over everything. So looking at the final version of the script, what he's saying throughout this beginning bit is, continue over from the previous minute as well, actually. You ask, am I up here for personal glory? I toiled for many years in happy obscurity beneath your boulevards. Which is like, it does not sound like that's what he's saying, but apparently that's what it is. Yeah, apparently. And then, like, when I was watching this clip all week, I did just the delivery of it. I don't know why. I was obsessed with it. I was going around quoting it all week. I think it's the way he kind of shoves his chin into his neck to kind of enunciate more. Because it goes, the glory that I yearn to recapture is the glory of Gotham. It's like, oh, he is.
Damn, no, that was pretty good.
But it's that yearn. That yearn gets me. It's like, oh, I love that so much.
Oh, it's a fantastic speech. I love big dramatic speeches like this. Like, I know in The Force Awakens, people either loved or hated Hux' one. I was one of the lovers. I thought that was the best thing in the movie. Just having Hux do a dramatic speech, over the top, spit flying from his mouth.
It gets your attention, for sure.
Yes.
It's too bad nobody was there to, play some pretty spiteful audio that he would have said in the past, so just to shut him up.
Yes.
But
this is behind the scenes, Kylo Ren, like, doing a little wicka wicka with the CD.
Oh God, don't tempt them.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing, though, because then the music as well is so triumphant. It actually also gets you kind of pumped. They're like, yeah, go on, damn right, Oswald. But the thing is, you're very clearly basing this all on, like, probably like Nazi rallies and stuff like that. It's how you rally people up to big, powerful speeches and huge orchestral music and stuff.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, obviously in my spare time, I am a historian. That is what
Thank God for that.
do.
I thought you guys say in my spare time I'm a Nazi.
I'm a Nazi. No. But no, that is how a lot of these groups throughout history have, I don't want to say suckered people, because they don't feel suckered. They feel like this is the right move. And you need to make yourself appealing. Even if you're giving essentially what's a bad message. You sell it to people in this kind of a way. You make it look fantastic. The visual, the sound, things like that are very important. The aesthetic.
Yeah. It's interesting too that, a lot of the time villains in these types of movies would want to like hide their true identity or whatever. And he's straight up coming out and saying, I am this person, this freak show as you all see it, but now I'm a changed man. I want to do this. He's not hiding anything at all. I guess you kind of saw the Joker do that in the first film when he goes on live TV and I've taken off my makeup, things like that. Kind of doing the same, but this is like, to win an election. Yeah. So it's just kind of strange that he's like, hey, I am this horrible thing, But
maybe though people would, I suppose, sadly, you can see this as a parallel to today. Maybe people would appreciate the forwardness and the honesty of that. Like other politicians aren't saying it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would think so, but the world is the world that it is, so not always going to happen that way.
This is kind of like, oh, he's telling it like it is kind of mentality. But then, of course, the other side is also telling it like it is to those people. So.
That's the thing, yeah. Whenever someone says that another person is telling it like it is, I'm always worried. That's never usually a good phrase. It's like, so you mean they're being a jerk for no reason?
But
I got to ask y'all. Oh, no, go ahead now.
No, I was just going to say, though, it's still an interesting trick in the fact that, like, Elfman's score is also leading us into this big jubilant triumph kind of music. Whereas we've noted throughout the whole thing, like, Elfman's score always seems to kind of be skewing on the Penguin's side. Like, they're really trying to, like, I think I was always asking, like, well, we know from having seen the movie before that the Penguin's a complete pervert, trying to kill kids, etc., and stuff. But the music always tries to make him very sympathetic and all this kind of stuff. And I think we've started to kind of make peace with the idea. It's like, it's misleading first-time viewers into thinking, oh, maybe he is maybe there's redemption for this Penguin. Maybe he should be a more sympathetic figure, or maybe this is the way that the other people are viewing him. Whereas, like, you think theoretically this should have been more of they could have done like a sinister beat for this, because it's like, oh, the Penguin's winning. But they decide, Elfman's score always sort of skews to make you think that, like, from the public's point of view towards this guy, rather than what us, the audience, actually knows about him. So
that's a really good observation. It's almost like the music, or Elfman for that matter, is part of the campaign right here.
Yeah.
It's that's cool. I had never thought of that.
Maybe that's where like Danny Elfman actually is in that crowd. He's there conducting the orchestra in the background or something.
That's what they meant. In fact, after you said that, the other day, I've been like kind of scrolling through and trying to spot him, and I can't.
Yeah,
still can't. So
he's a distinctive face, that guy. So like you know he's got that big demented Joker grin and stuff. So if he was there, you would see him. But
if anybody knows, please tell us, because I couldn't find any information like on the internet about it, or like specifics.
A lot of the IMDb stuff is very misleading to me, because I remember we had last year, the IMDb in trivia claimed that Tim Burton was one of the thugs in the art gallery, and that is not true at all. But they said that, and then we had to go on there and go like, well, it says it here, but I don't see him anywhere. So
if you skim to second 22, you'll see this guy in the bow tie on the far left, and Jesus, as long as it's not him, because this guy is ruthless looking. He looks like he almost doesn't want to be there. So creepy. I know that's really only appeals to us. Everybody else doesn't have the movie open in front of him.
But, he looks like a bit.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about?
Because his hat's a little more crumpled and stuff. He kind of looks like he's just like some random tramp who's shown up.
But we've also got Max, who's just, really driving things home by doing the peace sign and almost looking like Richard Nixon, and just really into it. Really trying to get the people riled up. And everyone else up there just looks like they could care less almost. So, whatever.
Yeah. I think like, well, we'll probably get into it a bit more next week, though, but all the Nixon stuff. The reason they've been referencing Nixon kind of becomes much more apparent when they're dealing with like, leaked audio, felling a corrupt political person. Like maybe that'll be relevant in this movie at some point. I should actually, in talking about Max though, it's quite interesting. A real divergence from the original Dan Waters draft and this version of it, because this is much more dramatic. I think this is much more satisfactory way the scene plays out. But they have a different version of it entirely originally planned, in that Max Schreck was never, in that draft, was never a public advocate of the Penguin. He was playing both sides. So the mayor thought he was on his side when he was actually secretly funding Oswald Cobblepot. Because there's actually the scene in that draft is that Bruce actually sneaks. He gifts Max a scarab. It's like a little Egyptian kind of model of a scarab. And Max puts this in his office without questioning it at all, which is a bit bizarre since he hates Bruce Wayne. But like, oh yeah, that guy I hate gave me a gift. Let's put it up on the shelf.
What a weird thing to give somebody too.
But yeah,
cool.
but he's also, Batman has then sent the mayor a copy of a check that Max has written to Oswald Cobblepot, and the mayor's come to confront him about it. But and there's actually, we've complained several times that the Waters draft is way too wordy. I think we've kind of made the peace with the idea that maybe he was just throwing everything at the wall, and then in the second draft he would have whittled down to the best stuff or whatever. But
right, everything that came to mind. That is an interesting idea to have it like that, but I think audiences probably just, they needed something simpler. They probably needed to like see something, and so to have Max just to be seeing him working with the Penguin and kind of spelling things out just makes for a simpler experience, probably.
Very much.
As cool as that would have been.
You can easily overcomplicate it when you've got this many characters as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do love the actual the description of what happens in that scene. So it has the mayor's obviously stormed in to talk to Shrek about it. And it says, the unflinchingly zen Max Shrek is in his chair in the middle of the conference room. It is slowly, creepily revolving in a circle. He's again disturbingly toying with his music box, because a recurring thing is that Max Shrek had a music box on his desk that he would. I think that might have been Dan Waters like, be a creepy thing. I'll give Tim. He'll like that. But it says the mayor says, Max Shrek, you're a fiend, a grubby fiend, and I'm not afraid to say it. In fact, I just did say it. My office was given information about you, Penguin, and all this. And then Max replies with it's about time. Someone realized those big checks were coming from somewhere interesting. And the mayor's like, you wanted me to find out about this? And then Max replies with, how else could you learn your lesson? Last month I bought a music box, but it would not play music. And I could have taken it back to the store, taken it to a repairman. I could have put the company out of business. Unsatisfying. This music box needed to be punished, tortured. I mangled it with tools and wires and lined its gears with acid. At times I could hear it scream. What? I was like, holy crap, yeah.
Oh my God, that's twisted.
Yeah, so it's like, it makes it much more apparent that, like, that version of Max Schreck, his major beef is just like, this mayor was disobeying me. I wanted to make him suffer.
Good Lord.
Whereas this one is much more like, this mayor is disobeying me. I'm just going to replace him. Plain and simple. Yeah. This one's much more vindictive.
That's like some serial killer stuff, that. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too much for this movie. A little too dark for this already dark movie.
Well, it does have a bit later on where the Penguins plan to lead a bunch of kids into toxic waste and stuff. So.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. That's heavy.
But yeah, so we get then this, Bruce, I think you were saying, Brady, like he tapping in some keys. I think you were saying you're trying to make out if he was typing anything.
Yeah.
But
I was trying to figure out like what he's typing, and I'm sure they were just like, all right, Michael, or hand a double, whatever, just go ahead and start typing some random stuff in, and people will get it. Especially whenever you hit that button next to it. Yeah, that says it all.
It's like or hoping whatever. It's like Michael Keaton's ATM number or something.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to see the words frequency jammed on the screen right after this, so people will get it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We hope. So
that's of course, then they do get, of course, frequency jammed, and then I know it was the early 90s, and maybe there was still a new thing, but Bruce Wayne's handling of this CD to me,
that annoyed me.
Oh, I know.
This is
I noticed
nightmarish.
the same thing.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's still relevant today. If you bought a game for your PlayStation, your Xbox, you wouldn't handle it like that. What are you doing?
No. But
right?
when CDs first came out, when they were brand new, they were sold as essentially indestructible. Right? As we all know, the slightest scratch and they're screwed. I don't know why they thought they were indestructible, but they did. And I remember that they actually demonstrated it on TV on, it's an English show. I'm trying to remember if it was Blue Peter, Niall, you'll know these, or Tomorrow's World. And they were demonstrating this new thing, the CD, and they scratched it with like a fork or something. They went, and then put it in there, and it still played. They're like, look, it's amazing. You can't damage it like with a record.
I think they must just looked out that day. Jesus Christ.
Maybe those first batches were made of sterner stuff.
No, because this is like Smudge City too. It's like, oh my god, what? It would be great though if you see it close up and it's just like, oh yeah, fingerprints all over the damn thing.
As I've mentioned before, I used to work in a video game shop, and you'd get people bringing their games in to trade in and things like that. And sometimes I don't know what they'd been doing to these discs. Like they were the filthiest things you'd ever seen. They stank of like cigarettes, fingerprints all over them. Stuff stuck to them. Like it looked like food. And they'd be like, how much can I get for this? And you're like, look, I'm not taking it. Oh, why not? And they'd start getting really angry at you. I'm like, because look at it. I'm not having this. Go. Get out of my shop.
Look at it. It's like what you had for breakfast is on this thing, man. Get out of here.
Although you might have to edit this bit out, Niall, because it's technically bad. But once, do you remember the original version of the PS2?
Oh, yeah.
The big one. And it had that port in the back you could open, and it was just like an empty space. Now, that was for, in Japan, they had a hard drive and a modem and things you could plug in there. But that never came out here, so it was just an empty space. And someone traded in their PS2, and afterwards I was checking it, and I opened that up, and there was just a load of fake copied porn discs and a bag of weed.
Oh my god!
I was like, "Whoa! What do I even do with this? Do I put it in the bin?" Like,
I think you know what you do with it, John.
I don't want someone's horrible old dirty drugs. Who knows what they've put in?
I'll keep the porn, but I'm not having the drugs.
Did you just like ask your manager, like, "Hey, what do I do with this?" And I'll take care of that.
I think it did just kind of get shuffled off to the side.
Jesus.
But that's another thing though as well, because not only is Bruce holding this up in such a way that he would just be smudging it, also he's not marked what the CD is. Like, so
Yeah.
he could stick this in and all of a sudden friggin' starts blasting like SOS by ABBA or something. Like, could be anything going on this thing.
No, just that, like, I don't even know if that would have helped the Penguin's cause if anything else came on while he's trying to make a speech,
I don't know. The people of Gotham might love some ABBA,
That's true. Good point.
They need something uplifting.
It's just like
It's a dark time.
The headline the next day is like, Oswald's Swedish pop support hurdles him to #1 in the polls. Like, damn it, Alfred, why didn't you mark the CD?
I will partially defend Bruce here, though. Not defend, but try and justify. Some CDs, well, DVDs specifically. Let's say DVDs weren't a thing then, but, he's ahead of tech. He's at the forefront of new things. Some DVDs were double-sided, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, I remember the
And
original Goodfellas. You had to
yeah.
flip over the disc and stuff like this, yeah.
And I had a bunch of Friends DVDs, and they were double-sided, and it was a pain. So maybe this is like a double-sided CD, so we can't write on it what it is.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Did they have double-sided CDs, though? I don't recall having one.
I don't recall, no.
I just reminded me what you're saying, though, about, like, been ahead of tech and stuff. Remember, like, in 97, with the first Men in Black, and they had the Tommy Lee Jones showing Will Smith a little tiny CD. And he's just like, this is going to be replacing CDs soon. It's like, oh my god, that's so freaking dated now.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Especially because they kind of did. Like, I mean, the mini disc was like a tiny CD in a case.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe
and nobody bought that except my one friend.
Yeah.
But, that's still a Movies by Minute that's not been taken up yet. It's like, why isn't anyone doing Men in Black Minute? I would listen to that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, get on it.
yeah,
I'm sure there's Minute in Black, it's just waiting.
it's just right there. Just go
Title's
do
just
it.
waiting.
Well, there's that new Men in Black's coming out. Is it Men in Black International?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that made me think of Ghostbusters, because isn't that the name of that comic, Ghostbusters
Yeah.
International?
There is one out there, yeah.
And of course, this has Chris Hemsworth in it as well. So,
Yeah.
And everyone's saying it's the bisexual movie because all the women are dressed in suits and things.
There's something out there for everybody, man.
But then, of course, we got a good shot of DJ Pennyworth with the headphones on, ready to go. I think of my personal headcanon I'm putting down now. When Bruce is out at night, Alfred has to do something with his time. So I think he actually has a little radio station that he's like night, you can tune in to like night times with Alfred or something. Where it's just like a very soothing voice, like coming up the little wee hours of the morning with DJ Pennyworth.
Yeah, you got to wonder like what kind of music would DJ Pennyworth be playing.
So you'd think that you'd be inclined to think it'd be like classical or something, but then you can surprise you.
It might just be ABBA though.
Yeah.
You can't the ABBA at 2 a.m. though. You can't get people that jazzed up.
Maybe
all ABBA all the time.
Maybe he's a bit more rebellious. Maybe he goes for some heavy rock, some Deep Purple.
It could be like he's into like his weird like acid jazz or something. And, like coming up now at 3 a.m. we have the Sugar Cubes with Rhythm and Sorrow. I believe that young lead singer Bjork is launching a solo career, and we all wish her well here in the Pennyworth Cave.
Oh my God, we need to do a special bonus episode as Alfred.
Just Alfred.
Dude, he could have just like totally give away where he is and what he does by accidentally saying like, straight from the Batcave. I'm sorry, I mean something else, and then everybody knows where it's at.
I mean,
in the middle of a broadcast one time, Bruce arrives back horrifically injured. It's like, Alfred! It's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. You got to wonder like what Bruce Wayne's backup plan is if somebody just sort of puts it together. This guy is Batman. I'm just having this conversation with him. And I can just totally see it. And they call him out on it. Like, what would he say to get out of that? That would have to be his ultimate, I don't know, weapon. Is to try and, debunk the rumor that he is Batman. So
yeah, maybe. I think Alfred is actually operating a true crime podcast about the criminals of Gotham, and he can also kind of move the suspicion away from his master at the same time.
There you go. If he's telling people that he is Batman, but then again, he is Bruce Wayne's known butler, so that might also be giving it away.
Yeah, but he can point the finger elsewhere. He can, as part of his true crime investigation, also be like, well, who is the Batman?
Yeah,
I think nowadays though we're too. Even though I know apparently I've seen the other day that YouTube is cracking down on these things, but I think we're too in the age nowadays of the YouTube conspiracy video.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if Alfred came out with that, there's going to be instantly people going, well, what if Alfred's actually Batman and stuff like that. We got the Alex Jones popping up talking about it and stuff.
Oh my God, I would love it so much.
That's the ultimate like contribution to the cause is that if he were to take the blame for being Batman and someone were to kill him or arrest him, I don't know.
I would like to see that in a movie. Not that I want to see Alfred die like a twisted freak, but I think that would be an interesting story. It'd be moving, it'd be exciting. Like, he takes the blame, one of the criminals kills him. Especially with these new Alfreds, they tend to cast him a little younger.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that's what the show Pennyworth will eventually come to. Is that twist.
Yeah, and he has to replace him with a new Alfred at the end.
Yeah. I think my instant thing would be like, nah, that sounds like that'd be too good. The show probably won't do that.
Yeah, that'd be too much.
No,
That's
keep
too
the
good,
faith. Keep the faith, guys.
But of course, this was always a thing. I think even when I was a kid, I was like, this is a bit much. Where he puts the CD into a CD player labeled with the bat symbol.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you could say, like, let's play devil's advocate here. There was originally plans that, there was supposed to be Bat merchandise in the film, like everywhere. Like, the public had taken Batman to heart. I know actually in this scene as well, in the original draft, they do note that all the Batman stuff's been taken down and replaced with Penguin merchandise. And it could be that, you never know, that maybe Wayne Enterprises has, I don't know if this would count as embezzlement or whatever, or maybe it's just an opportunity, but maybe it was Wave Enterprises was merchandising Batman itself. It's like, well, we might as well make money off it. If I'm the guy, I might as well profit from it as well.
It's a bit like the way I bought our own T-shirt on TeePublic.
Yeah,
but it's like, maybe he's just like, I believe in these CD players, so yeah, I merchandise a Batman CD player. And of course I bought it for myself because it's the best. Like, Bruce Wayne doesn't skimp. So I'm choosing to believe that's what it is, and it's not just the old school comic book thing of like, yeah, he just has bat symbols on.
Yeah, see, I was more of that vein. I thought it was a nod to the 60s show and an unfortunate sign of what's to come with the back credit card in a couple of films. Right?
Oh, God. Yeah. And since we're on the subject, everybody, you can find all kinds of Batminute merchandise on TeePublic. And no, Niall and John did not ask me to say that.
Yes,
so
yes. And a new shirt is coming soon.
Is it just like this frame from the movie, a CD, and the little thing that's holding it down is the Batminute logo instead of the bat emblem?
Oh, my God. So, Niall, make it.
Get on it.
We'll cut Brady in. Make it.
Yeah, that's the only reason I said that.
I say we'll cut you in. We sell a handful of T-shirts because we never promote them.
Yeah. I don't know that we sold a single one.
Yeah, I think you've got to plug them a lot, haven't you? And put out new designs all the time. Can't be bothered.
So this is about the point in the minute where the audio starts playing over the Penguin's speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the because it comes out with don't hey, relax, I'll take care of the wretched pinhead puppets of Gotham.
Yeah.
But I love the fact as that's airing, you can see Oswald's mouth moving, and he's obviously mouthing something, but you can't make out what it is. But he's doing this kind of exaggerated comical fiction expression while it's happening.
It's a terrible lip sync job. Sashay away.
Yeah, I hadn't watched this movie in forever, and when that started happening, I was like, "Oh man, their sound designer for this movie really sucks because this is just way off." But it's funny because when it starts happening, the Penguin looks up like at the speakers or whatever, trying to figure out what's going on, and Max is just totally oblivious to it. So,
and that's the thing, like, is the Penguin does go like, "I didn't say that," and Max is really, really cool about it, like, just I don't know. Like he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll take care of this later. Or maybe this is part of my master plan.
It must be because he's not even reacting.
Yeah,
could be this guy's just the Max Shrek knows how to play these things. He's like, oh, something happens, just relax.
Could be that.
We just slip back into the office. We'll put a spin on it, and we'll figure out something, and this will all be fine. But,
maybe Christopher Walken was just that bored that day. He's like, I don't even care. I'm not going to react to whatever's going on. So
it could be, though. The thing is, because we'll see that Max does take off, and he kind of looks at Oswald with a real shrug in the upcoming week, where it's like, what are you going to do? But it's like, maybe he was almost kind of going to him, like, he was assuming that Oswald was going to follow him back to the office to be like, oh, no, we'll take care of it. And it's just like, no, don't worry about it. But then it's just the fact that like the Penguin then is just like, and takes out his friggin' umbrella and starts firing it at people and stuff.
Yeah. Just stay here and you can deal with this. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I don't have to stand here. So, you know what? I'm looking at something here. I might be wrong. Does Max have an overcoat over his overcoat? Like the sleeves are in one? Or no, I think it's just this massive fur collar. Never mind.
It's the crazy collar and lapel, I think. Yeah. It's huge, furry thing.
Good Lord.
He's looking great though. Again, wearing a very nice hat there too. Like, is there anything this man can't pull off?
Yeah, he's a sharp dressed guy.
God damn it! I'm actually looking at him now though. I'm like, are we certain that those arms are in that overcoat? Because
I don't know. He's raising his hands at one point in the scene, so
I'm combing through.
I think he's got him in the sleeves.
I'm going with yes. I think he does.
Yeah.
It's touch and
for
go,
the first
though.
time in his life. Yeah.
This could be at one point he's like, okay, I've done my arm movements, and he just slips out of the sleeves and puts it back over his shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. This is just too weird for me. I can't be doing this. I've never done this before in my life, and I'm not going to start now. So.
But I'm very surprised at the absence of Chip Shrek here. There's just no.
Yeah.
Well, we don't get to see. I think we got seeing Chip once more in the movie, and that's the end of him. Whereas we had so much time for him earlier in the show.
Yeah.
But turns out he was tragically a bit wasted in the whole thing. But
he just ends up disappearing, really.
Yeah. So I was kind of shocked because I hadn't seen the movie in a while, so I forgot so much about it. I actually thought that at the beginning when he's like, "You got to get through me to get to Dad," and they pull the guns on him and everything, that Max just sort of let his son die. Like, oh, hey, my son's insisting that I leave, so I'm out.
Yeah.
That would have been, I mean, it would be really dark, but I think that would have been a really interesting character.
So much about Max's character is that like, well, hey, he told me to leave, and I really don't feel like dying today, so You gotta go, son. Thanks.
But yeah, that's kind of like, now we've got like the beginning of the Penguin's downfall. Actually, also note as well that because of looking up various things about Batman Returns on YouTube, I keep getting like in my recommended feed like just clips from Batman Forever. And I remember this one, they had a shot of Bruce holding the CD, and the clip was titled "Bruce promulgates dirt on Cobblepot." I was like, that's a very wordy way of saying that. I was like,
Yeah.
Like promulgates dirt. I'm like, oh, fair enough. But
I do like that word, promulgates, I'll be honest.
I have worked it into some of the outros since. I was like, oh, promulgates, eh?
Hey, I like that word. No, you're right though. This everything starts to shift right here for the Penguin, and the fact that Max is just—I know it's not in this minute, but coming up, Max is just like, sorry, bro, gotta run, and that really sort of signifies the beginning of the end for everybody, and. Yeah, I don't know. Things, everything's gone haywire from here because once Max is gone, Penguin's plan is really just, he's got nowhere to go, nobody to fall back on.
It's kind of bizarre in the fact it's like, oh, this should be theoretically the end of the Penguin, but then it's like, oh no, we got a third act where things get like crazy, like where we're just like, we're just throwing everything out there now. Like, hey, what about penguins with rockets strapped to their backs?
Yeah. Let's just go crazy with it.
I get much more the vibe now. Tim Burton's like, I got that over with. Let's get to the Penguins. Like, this is where I'm at. But yeah, that is kind of like that's the end of the action for the minute. And do you have say you've sort of got more respect for the movie now watching it, Brady?
Yeah.
But do you remember the first time you saw it or anything?
I do. It's funny that a lot of the movies I love now, I don't really remember. When I was younger, the build up to the movie and all the marketing and things like that. Batman Returns is really the first movie that I can remember that with. And I remember seeing the like commemorative cups you could get at, say, McDonald's or wherever it would have been.
Yes.
That's the second plug McDonald's has gotten so far.
As a vegetarian, that's weird for me that we keep plugging McDonald's.
Yeah, just keep seeing like TV spots for the movie. This is really where that started for me. And I love film marketing. And nowadays you get all kinds of crazy stuff, like the viral marketing for The Dark Knight was just absolutely incredible. And this is where I first started to notice that kind of stuff and a build up for a movie and just getting excited for a movie. And this was kind of the first time that happened. I do remember being really confused by it when I saw it. I didn't know how to feel at the end. And am I supposed to come out of this superhero movie feeling heroic and everything's been accomplished or sad? And there was, I've heard that some kids came out of it crying. And I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, that's kind of my initial impression. Thinking back on it was just that, how fun it was getting excited before a movie came out. And so this always kind of comes to mind when I think of stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it does have I think it was the experience of like doing this particular project is that like this movie's dating much better than probably anticipated, because most people now are looking back at it with a real like, oh, it's such an oddity, like that this was a thing that like, and now because it stands out as such a unique piece of media that's like, oh, you can't help but kind of respect it, at least just being what it is and stuff.
Absolutely,
it's like a major blockbuster with Susie Sue doing the spin-off single and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I mean, obviously at the time I didn't know who Susie Sue was, but now one of my favorite acts ever, Susie and the Banshees. So I'm like, oh my god, this is perfect.
They're great.
But yeah, I think I'm noted out if you guys are.
Yeah, man, I'm noted out myself over here.
Well, we will head off once more into the dark, dark night. Would you like to tell our listeners one last time this year, at least? You're going to be back. You're going to be back whether you want to be or not.
That's right.
Would you like to tell them one last time where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, Movies by Minutes shows that I've done are Jurassic Park Minute, Ghostbusters Minute, and Goonies Minute. They're all done now, but you can find them basically anywhere you can find this podcast. So they're out there if you feel so compelled to go listen to them.
Hey. And do. In fact, that's what you can do all weekend when we're not on. Go and listen to every episode of these and then come back. That's your education, people. One of the first ones I got into was Ghostbusters Minute. I did Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I think yeah, Star Wars, Indy, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. I had all 4 on the go at once, and then Alien joined the.
Yeah.
So all the
It
OGs.
was early on.
Check them out, and check us out again on Monday. We'll be back with new minutes. We'll have minute 91, and we will have a new guest. See you then.
Next time. He's said it once before, but it bears repeating. Cobblepot's campaign crumbles into a catastrophic clustercuss as even his capitalist compatriot throws him under the bus. But while the boorish bird gulps some bitter medicine down his hatch, which Wayne is wicka-wicka-ing with a wicked CD scratch. Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.